It is kind of a workshop. I hope most of you know about the graphology, and it is really very interesting topic. And I'm doing this graphology work for the past 10 plus years, and I have done for more than 5,000 people. So I hope you will be able to learn something new today and tomorrow as well. So we all write something or the other to convey a message to somebody. Okay, so this is handwriting. Usually we write with the help of our hand. So we call it as handwriting. But you have seen many people who write with their mouth, who write with their legs also, those who are handicapped, those who are having uh, any type of handicappy. So still it will be called as handwriting. And in other words, it is a neuromuscular process. Okay, what is neuromuscular process? Whenever you write something, you are writing from your mind. If I ask you right now to write your name in your mind, can you just practice to write your name in your mind? And you will see you are writing it in the same way as you are writing on the paper. Is it? So it is a neuromuscular process, means when I ask you to write even your name in your mind, so your brain is working in the same way as on the paper. So your hand is only going to be a medium. It's just a medium, whether it is hand, whether it is mouth, whether it is leg. These are just the muscular mediums which are controlled by the neurological process in your brain. So handwriting is also called as brain writing. So it is scientifically proven that handwriting is brain writing. And once we say that it is brain writing, it means whatever mental status is there in our brain, it is going to be depicted and written onto the paper or onto the any of the instrument or medium wherever we are writing. So we are writing our mental status on the paper. I hope you all agree with me with this scientific definition. And in handwriting, we include alphabets, words, signatures, initials, any figure, any rubrics. Rubrics means headings or any set of rules or anything like that. Even if you draw a line, even if you draw a single line, it will be considered as your handwriting, because as per the law of individuality, we learn in forensic science, as per the law of individuality, no two things in this world can be exactly alike. Even you draw a line, it will be different from another person in aspects of its strokes, initial strokes and ending strokes, and even its straightness. So this is about the handwriting, and handwriting is mostly used in forensic science for the identification purpose. I have solved number of cases. You will be solving number of cases in future. And if we have some experts here and the professors, they know much about it, that to establish the identity or non-identity of the writer, to identify the source, from which source the handwriting came, means to match the two signatures, where they are from the same person or not, to match the two handwriting samples in civil and criminal litigations. Maybe it can be a societal note also, it can be a property paper or anything. So it is mostly used in forensic science for that purpose. But we use graphology in societal cases, that I will discuss later on this, say in this presentation. So in forensic science, we use to establish the identity of the writer. Other thing is, every person is unique as per his handwriting. As like the fingerprints, our handwriting is also unique, and we all have different writing habits. And these letter design, these our writing habits are called as allographs, and which differ from one person to the another. So these are our allographs. What you are writing is your allographic writing, and this will be different in one or the other aspect from the different person. Even if you are twins, okay, you may not have the same exactly similar fingerprint as well as handwriting, because the brain of both the twins are working in slightly different way. And you have learned, it is a learned characteristic. Handwriting you have learned from the influence from your teachers in your childhood, and how you have been told to hold the pen and everything. So handwriting is unique. So why our handwriting is unique? Because we hold the pen in a certain way, or we have been taught in a different system. Some are Indian, some are literated in Indian system, some are in European system. If you will see this diagram, you will see the major three factors, A, B, and C. So these are the pen pressure, and the directional components, means the point load, and the travel action. So either all these three factors are different in each individual, or if any one of these factor is different in one to other individual, then our handwriting is going to be unique. And other thing is very good as answered by the candidate, that it is our neuromuscular process and motor generated process from our brain. So it is going to be unique. And what we have learned, a person who has not learned how to write cannot write simply. So person has to learn also how to write. And these are the three travel actions which are going to regulate our handwriting. So our handwriting is unique. Now coming to the graphology, what is graphology? So I would like to mention it here. It is just the inference of individual characters or personality traits from his or her handwriting. If I have written something and I explained already that it is brain writing, let's say I am very much frustrated right now. I have a fight with my wife or with my kids or with my boss or anybody. Do you think my handwriting is going to be very beautiful this time? Factors which affects our handwriting, but apart from the factors which affects our handwriting, there are certain personality traits, there are certain habits, or which become our habits since from long time. You have learned your handwriting since when you were at the age of 3 or 4, when you first wrote the alphabet A, B or C. Since then you have modified your handwriting a lot and it becomes unique to you. Now whatever your mind setup is there, it is your personality which will be depicted through your handwriting. So we called it as graphology, and graphology is very useful tool in forensic science as well and in other areas which I will discuss in the further slides. And it is, when it is coupled with psychology, many researches are going on with the psychologists, and they use some psychological traits and psychological parameters to identify the personality, and then they compare it with the handwriting of the person. And that's how the graphology has evolved by several experiments, several researches, thousands of researches in this area. So graphology has evolved in last 3 decades, mostly in this area by the psychologists. So as whatever the rules applied in psychology, these are the rules also applied in graphology as well. But right now we will talk about the graphology only. And the theory underlying the graphology is handwriting is the expression of the personality, as I have already discussed. So what we need to do, we need to systematically analyze the way the words and letters are being formed and what they reveal in the personality. Let's go ahead. So it analyzes the person without the person's knowledge. Let's say you have sent me a letter. It may be a love letter. It may be a threatening letter. It may be any type of letter. I can easily analyze your personality, that what kind of person you are without your knowledge. Because if I ask you to write something right now in front of me, then you may be conscious in writing that. If I ask you to write only one line, then you may become conscious. But if I will take your previous samples, previous handwriting samples, where you were not conscious at that time, that this can be used for the graphological analysis. So what has been done, I have the genuine report of your personality traits at that time because of your unconscious efforts. And the other parameter is, though it is very much support with the by the scientific community, but still it is a point of discussion in the science community, in forensic science as well as, and it is also a tool for assessing the personality along with the psychological parameters. So applications of graphology. First thing, which I have done a lot, employment profiling. Many companies approach me to give the profiling, to give the personality traits of their employees when they are going to recruit the new employees. So they send me the application forms, or they send me the cover letter written in their own handwriting, or even the signatures, and they ask me to find out the personality of that person. Their main motive is whether this person is chaste, means whether this person is trustworthy or not. And the second is whether this person will be hardworking or not. And third is whether this person will be useful for them or not. This is one of the aspects of the handwriting, and other is for child development. By looking at the child handwriting, the parents can see the child's strengths, weaknesses, likes, dislikes, and his way of thinking, even his health. Graphology can be used to identify even the certain elements in your body, even diabetes. There are many researches that how the diabetic people write the handwriting, and how the people who are suffering from other disease write the handwriting. The person from Parkinson's and other psychological disorder have their unique handwriting. So it can definitely help in the child development also, and it can help in the psychological analysis as well. And other is marital compatibility. Though in India we make the compatibility with the kundalis, the astrological aspect, and in other countries we have some other aspect. But handwriting is also a tool if you want to know that whether your partner or this person will be compatible with you after your marriage, or even in any relationship. Then you can go ahead with the handwriting compatibility as well. Then the medical diagnosis I have already discussed. Even if you are having high blood pressure or any type of disease, then you are going to make certain type of handwriting characteristic features which can be identified by the doctor. Those who are psychologists, I'm talking about forensic psychiatrist and forensic psychologist, and they can treat the person according to that. Then it is graphotherapy. Graphotherapy is, it's a reverse position. If I will see your handwriting, once I identify your shortcomings or your lacunas, that what are the points where you have to work on, then I can advise you to change those features in your handwriting. When you change those features, when you practice a lot, so your muscles start working in that way, and your brain again in reverse start working in that way. So it is graphotherapy. Again, many researches are going on that. It is a long process. It does not happen in 1 day or 2 days. It is a yearly process. I have to give you certain commands. The graphologist have to give you certain commands to follow the instructions, to write in particular way, and then the mind will change gradually along with the medication. So this is graphotherapy which we use. Now coming to the forensic analysis, as I told you, to identify the mood, motivation, integrity, intelligence, emotional stability, and whether it is a case of suicide, whether the suicidal note was written by the same person, whether it was written at the same time or or at different time. Because sometimes, many times it happens that we are very angry, very much frustrated, and we are habitual to write some notebooks, and not notebooks, what we call the personal diaries. Okay, so we write them, and we have written a suicidal letter, and we did not committed suicide at that time. Okay, it happens a lot with many people. They have taken out their frustration on the paper, they wrote the suicidal letter, but they have not committed suicide, but the letter is still intact in their diary. So anybody can utilize that letter and can kill that person, and can keep the letter in his own handwriting or her own handwriting into the pocket or on the crime scene. So it is to be identified whether the letter has been written at the same time or not. So this is the ink analysis, ink dating or page dating, the paper dating, which you have already studied in question document analysis also. Now coming to the main topic here, these handwriting traits, these are common handwriting traits that can be applied to any language. Somebody will be thinking that it is only for English handwriting. No, it can be for Hindi, it can be for Telugu, Tamil, or Arabic, or whatever handwriting you want to analyze, except the individual letter formation. Because individual letter formation I have taken only for English words. I have not done any research on the other letters right now, but other factors can be used to all other handwriting or the languages, scripts, we can say. So the first will be the slant. I will tell you what the slant is all about. And the slant tells us about the emotional gauge, our emotional, the mental state, and our social personality. Then the baselines, which tells about our moods. And then the writing zones, which tells about the philosophical nature, our ego, our thinking, our desires. Okay, then speed of writing, whether we are writing fast, whether we are writing slow. So it tells about our intelligence, spontaneity, or we are delayed, lazy, whatever we are. And connecting strokes, I will discuss this in much details, that what are the connecting strokes and how to identify the personality from the connecting strokes. Margins and spacing tells about the social boundaries and respect to others. pressure on the paper, our intensity of emotions, and individual letter formation, our individual traits. This is very unique, so you have to be very careful in identifying these. And size of the letters will tell you about your attitude towards the self-image, your confidence, your power of concentration, and your ego. So let us first go to slant. As I told you, slant tells about the emotional gauge or social personality. Let me clear something here. All of you, please listen carefully. When you are doing graphology, it's about the interpretation of the words, how you say. If I am saying somebody is frustrated, so you have to try to find out the synonyms of the frustrated, because it may be very dangerous to say something to somebody directly, because he may not be exactly the same person you are telling, because still you will be in the practice mode. So do not use very hard words. Try to interpret it very logically with the other person. I'll tell you about the suicidal handwriting also. It doesn't mean that the person will commit suicide definitely, but the person may have intentions, or the person may be depressed, the person may be too much stressed as well. So we have to see the synonyms and how to interpret those words to the other person. So it's all about the interpretation of the words. So please, the slant. What is handwriting slant? So whenever we write either towards the left, either towards the right, or in the vertical direction, straight out you. So it is the angle of writing in respect to the baseline. Let's see this image here. So if I am writing towards the extreme right, I will be fall in the category of extreme right slant writer, or right slant writer, or vertical. No, nobody writes actually exactly vertical, exactly 90 degree, but let's say if the vertical falls within the range of this vertical and even slightly towards the right, slightly towards the left, it is not a single line, it is a shaded area which will be considered slightly towards the left and slightly towards the right. When I say slightly, it is very slight. I will show you the examples. So slant tells about your emotional gauge and your social personality as well. Let's move ahead. Now see this image. If your handwriting is like this, so you are writing in the right slant direction. This is in right, but it will also be considered in slight right. It can be considered as a vertical also sometime. If most of the letters are following the vertical and only few of the words are following right slant, then the overall appearance of the writing will be considered as vertical writing. And then left, and then varying slant, irregular slant. Let's see another image as well. There are three basic parameters of interpreting slant. If you are having left slant, you are an introvert person. Now introvert means a lot. Introverts doesn't mean exactly the reserved person who doesn't meet anybody at all, but the person who likes to live alone most of the time. So the interpretation should be very much correct in this case. The second thing is, if your slant is vertical, you are ambivert, means mixed of introvert and extrovert. And if your slant is right, you are extrovert. Let's take another example. Now this is an example of the left slant. I'll be writing with the same slant. I would like to warn you here, the characteristic which I will tell, you may not be exactly the same, but somehow you need to interpret it in that way that it fits the wording fits to you. Okay, you should not use the harsh word or the extreme words for you. I have taken from different references and I'm doing this for last 10 plus years. So I know, but still I have used certain words. So, but I will try to explain in my best way. So this is the left slant. So if the person is having the left slant, he is emotionally withdrawn, he or she. Now emotionally withdrawn, you don't mean that he is schizophrenic or he is a mad person. Emotionally withdrawn may also mean that he likes to live most of the time in self. He don't like to meet so many people. Okay, he is kind of unsocial, or he try to be alone most of the time. Introverts often quiet, reserved, maybe unsocial. Okay, rarely express feelings. So rarely expresses the feelings means whatever feelings he or she is having, he will keep it to himself or herself. And to very choosy people, very choosy people, he will disclose, and he will not disclose all the feelings. So this is the exact interpretation of expression of the feelings. And he thinks a lot about past. When we say thinks a lot about past, maybe the event, any big event that has happened, and mostly the negative event that has happened, not the positive. This is towards the negative side. So the negative event which has happened in his life, or her life, they thought about that personal, that particular event. And though he makes logical and unemotional decision. Now, how to interpret this? Unemotional means because he is quite reserved, he lives most of the time in self, he is quite unsocial. So the left slant is slightly towards the negative side. Okay, it doesn't mean that the person is exactly negative. It is the combination. Graphology is the combination of so many things. I told you about the slant, margins, and all those things which we will be learning. So slant is one aspect, but is the basic aspect which you can see easily in anybody's handwriting, and you can easily interpret some of the features from the slant itself. So, and these are the people, those who have too many doubts on self as well as on the others. Okay, and they are over materialistic. You understand over materialistic? They pay more attention towards the money and towards the materialistic objects or things. So they are non-social, means they pay less regards to the other social persons. But now, see, it is only one aspect. Slant is only one aspect. We have to take care of the letters and other thing also. So you can pick the few common words which are common to the community for those people who are writing with the left slant. Now this is with the right slant. You can see this image. The people, most of us, I think 60 to 70% of us are having the handwriting with the right slant, maybe to extreme right or to the right slant, which you can see the angle of writing. So this is the angle of writing, which is going towards the less than 90 degree. In this case, if it is more than 90 degree, it is going to be left slant. Okay, so it will be somewhere between the 45 degree to all the slants will lie somewhere between 45 degree to 120, because nobody will write, if a straight line it is 180, so nobody is going to write like that. So this tells about the emotionally responsive person. Emotionally responsive means he is very sensitive. First of all, he becomes very sensitive whenever you say any small or big thing. He is very sensitive to react to that. So he is ruled by heart. He takes everything onto heart. Please don't mind it. Okay, these are the general characteristic features, and they may not be the exactly 110% to you. It is how you interpret them for you or for the other person. So people ruled by heart, they are having the right slant. They are very moody person. Moody person means if they want to do something, they will do. If they do not want, you cannot force them to do that thing. While in case of left slant, it was not. If you force them to do, they will do, because they do not have their own thinking or own influence onto the others. But these people are having the influence all onto the other. They are more futuristic. They always think about the future. They does not think about the past. Even if they think, they will not care about the past. They will be very optimistic, and they will think about their future a lot. And as I told you, because they are emotionally responsive, so they are very sensitive also. They may cry easily, they may laugh easily, they may be good friends, and they need uh, affection a lot. Okay, they cannot live their life without affection. So these are some, sometimes it is good thing also, sometimes it is bad also. So again, you have to interpret what is good in this and what is bad. Because if you are ruled by heart, yes, of course this person is socially very good person, everybody wants to like to meet this person. But when he is very sensitive, you don't want to say anything. So both the aspects are there, negative and positive aspects of handwriting is there. He is very expressive in nature, means he cannot keep any secret with him. He can disclose his secrets to anybody, or he cannot keep his emotions to himself. He need to share it with the people. Okay, and he always feels happy among the people. So these kind of people with the right slant are having these personality traits. The next is vertical slant. So I told you, even it is very much straight, but nobody exactly write very much straight, because we are not computers, so we cannot write exactly to 90-degree. We can be slightly tilted towards the right or tilted towards the left. So these are the people with the ambivert nature, both introvert and extrovert, mixed mood. And these are very passionate people. These are having sympathy towards the other. They like to live in present. And the negative part is, either you can say negative or positive in both the way, that they are diplomatic in nature. They know how to play with the emotions of the other also, and a bad part also. If they are diplomatic, means they can be a good liar also. Take decision from their head, means they use their brain a lot over their heart. As I told you, they are diplomatic nature, and they are mixed of both introvert and extrovert. So they use their mind a lot over their heart, means they are emotionally less attached to other people. The point here is to say they are less sensitive towards the emotions. They do not fall in the category of the left slant or the right slant. Okay, so they are diplomatic. So please keep this in mind when you are analyzing a person's handwriting with the help of the slant. The other thing, now some people are having mixed or irregular slant. Though I think the 10% of the population have this type of slant. I am not talking about the circumstances when you are in hurry, when you are writing examination paper, your last answer in the question paper, that is not the time to do the graphological analysis. Okay, at that time your handwriting will be worst. So don't see the slant at that time. Some letters will go to left, some letters will go to right. We need to have the samples when the person was comfortable, unconscious in writing. So if the person is habitually writing, if the person is habitually writing like this, so this person is also having, trouble making decisions, because the head and heart are in conflict. His head says something else, heart says something else. So both the traits of left and right handwriting slant, and none of the trait is meeting with each other. Okay, so he withdraws into the introverted personality when he feels insecure, and he is having dual personality as well. Now do not misinterpret dual personality with any of these psychological disorder, please. This is not a psychological disorder. We are just doing the handwriting analysis, personality traits. Okay, so you do not think that the person is having two personality at a time. Dual personality means the mood swings. Lot of mood swings will be there. The next characteristic we are going to take is, now you can see this slide. If you are vertical, so you are holding your emotions. That is just the emotional gauge. I have taken this. So towards the right, balanced emotions, then impulsive, no control, no control. Anything in extremities, whenever anything will be extreme, it is not good. Okay. Then towards the left, suppress emotions, more intensive, and it will become more impulsive and no control, again towards more left. Only about the emotions, while other characteristics remain the same. Now coming to the baseline. Baseline is an imaginary line. Imagine a A4 size plain paper on which you have written your handwriting. And if you are right now having the paper, you can just write a line, complete line, and you can see your baseline is straight, means your handwriting is going straight. I'm not talking about the ruled lines. I will show you the examples of the ruled lines. When we write on the ruled lines, we write mostly straight. But when we write on unruled paper, where the lines are not being drawn, there we can see our exact baseline, whether it is going downwards, it is declined, it is inclined, it is straight. Means it is ascending, it is descending, or it is straight, the baseline. So if you are having an A4 size paper, you can write down one or two line, anything, whatever you want, and you can say If you write a paragraph, you can easily see in which side it is going. But even if two lines you will write, you will see slightly whether it is declining, inclining, or it is straight. Let's take this example. So this is the normally straight baseline. Don't see this line, but if you will see from the baseline, now this is quite ascending. It is going upward, and this is going to downwards. So descending baseline. Many of us have these characteristic features and we never noticed them. And this is the arced or the wavy, where it is neither straight nor ascending nor descending. It is the combination of all. So this is erratic baseline, which we'll talk about. Now, if your baseline is straight, many of you will be might have been writing with the straight baseline. So this person is having a stable mind. Okay, in outward behavior, we are not saying inward behavior. Whenever he says something to somebody else, he is more stable, he is more focused. In that case, well controlled moods. Now here, well controlled mood doesn't mean that he's not having mood swings, he is not having sensitive nature. So this is different from the slant. Now take the baseline as into consideration. Well controlled moods means he can control his emotions. He will not say whatever he want to say, but he will portray himself as a balanced person, more determined, more focused. He always stay on track, self-motivated. So in a overall sense, this person is very good, like that. The next thing is ascending baseline. If your baseline is going upwards, many of you, I know many of you who are writing there, all the participants, many of you might have this type of baseline as well. It is good. See, all things are good and bad in their own nature. So let us see. This is healthy mental energy. You are very optimistic. Okay, you have positiveness towards your future, towards every work. You are very hardworking. You see always the positive side of the things. Okay, it doesn't mean that you can't be depressed at a time, but overall nature, your overall nature is that you see the positive side of the things and you have the positive attitude towards the things, and you like to stay busy. You are a multitasker. You can do many things at the same time. Okay, I have the writing like this, sorry. But okay, even the person is feeling depressed and writing in uphill direction, that is still you want to give your best. It means that yes, you are balanced mind and you want to give your best. You will still think in the positive way, even though you are feeling depressed. So depression will not cause the handwriting change in 1 day or in 2 days. It will take time. If it is continuous depression for months, then it will definitely affect your handwriting. That can be easily depicted by the graphologist during the graphological analysis. Next is the descending baseline. Now see this, they are usually negative people. Now negative doesn't mean they will murder somebody. Please listen this carefully. Negative doesn't mean they will murder somebody. Negative means they are more, they are having more negative thoughts, or they see first of all the negative side of the things. When somebody counsel them, then they can see the positive sides as well. But quite often they see the negative side of everything. Okay, means the downside of everything. They think there is always something wrong with self or with others or with the thing. So they always think they are having, they are having the questions, the doubts with everybody, wrong side of the thing. Let's take another example. If somebody came with a gift in the house, so they will first think this can be a very dangerous thing inside it. So this kind of personality having the descending, if it is more descending, please consider this as towards the extreme. If it is more descending, if it is more ascending, it is towards the extreme. So you can definitely say those natures of the person or those personality traits of that person. If it is too much descending, these characters become very strong. If this is slightly descending, these characters are floating in between the straight and the descending lines. then this person is having fear of being defeated. So feeling insecure, fear of being defeated means he is feeling quite insecure most of the times. So because of that insecurity, what he will do? Will he kill somebody? No, he will not make friends. He will not trust on anybody. Okay, so that trust will not build up. So these are the characteristics how you need to interpret it because of this fear, and mostly remain disappointed by everything, by family, by friends, that he has not done good to me. He has not done, even though he has achieved a lot of things, even though he might be a, a president of any country, but he is still disappointed. Okay, he is quite pessimistic. Now, erratic baseline. Very rarely people do have this, but do not judge this baseline with your examination room baseline. You all may have erratic baseline. So please do not consider that situation. Again, I'm telling you, you are writing last answer, you are running out of time. So do not consider that for baseline. You can still consider other features, but the baseline will not be considered at that time. So this type of people are very moody. People who are having the erratic baseline, they are very moody and very sensitive. They laugh and cry very easily. On small things, they will laugh, means the jokes which cannot make other people laugh, they will laugh on that jokes as well. And they will cry on small things. I'm not talking about those people who are watching the movies and they are crying because there is an emotional scene. Many of people can fall in that category, but there are certain people who can cry on those scenes which are not that much emotional. Even the people beside you are not crying, not having even tears, and you are crying a lot. These people are short tempered, means they become angry very easily. Okay, on anybody. They are unpredictable. One time they will say something else, other time they will say something else. So be aware of such kind of people, that they may change their mood, they may manipulate the things, and they are of unbalanced mind. They are poor in making decisions. They delayed their decisions because they are poor in making them. And also they do not rely or they do not trust the other people decisions. So these people are quite fall in not good category. I will say, I will not say dangerous category, but not good category. And they have trouble in achieving goals because they are unable to decide what they have to do, whether they want to go in this direction, whether they want to go in that direction. So these are the parameters which the erratic baseline is having. Now, this is suicidal baseline. I am warning you, it doesn't mean the person will commit suicide. Okay, but even whatever the baseline is, whether it is a straight baseline, ascending baseline, descending baseline, but if the letters are falling at the last like this, if it is falling like this, then this shows the suicidal baseline. Even in these signatures, I cannot draw right now, even in these signatures, when they fall all of a sudden, the line is straight, the line is ascending, but fall in the last word or letter all of a sudden, it is called suicidal baseline. You can interpret this as the person is very much depressed, the person is very much stressed, the person is accident prone, means he can cause harm to himself, he can cause harm to others, and he can give up very suddenly or unexpectedly. Anytime, anything can happen with such persons. They are very impulsive in nature. Coming to the handwriting zone. There are three types of handwriting zones. Now, upper zone, middle zone, and lower zone. If you are writing on a A4 paper, how to identify the zone, I will tell you. But if you are writing on a ruled paper, it is very easy to identify whether the writing is going in upper zone. If all the letters, tall letters are going much in upper zone, then the writing will be considered as dominant upper zone writing. If most of the letters, if this is, let's say, small, the loop of the L is small, and these are bigger letters, so the majority of the writing is going in the middle zone, and it will be dominant middle zone. And if the letters are going like the loops of G and Y's and J's are going much longer into the lower zone, then the writing will be considered as the lower zone handwriting. which we have to see on the imaginary lines. Now see these examples, then you will understand more. So 2A is the example of an upper zone writing. Then there is an example of middle zone writing and the lower zone writing. About our philosophical nature, means whether we are poetic, we are singer. Now this philosophical nature can be interpreted in many ways. Okay, not only philosophical, but also a poetic nature, also a singing nature, a lyricist. All these you have to take care in mind, that how you are going to interpret one word into many other words, into synonyms. Then your ego, your thinking, your desired. Now see this dominating upper zone handwriting. Now with this example, you will understand, see how the letters are going. T, L, F, like this. So it's a plain paper. It is not a ruled paper. No lines are there, but still we can say that the writing is falling in upper zone. Now what will be the characteristic features of this person? These people are super egoistic. Now how you define super egoistic? They will not listen to anybody. Whatever they are saying, it is right. So we have to define, we have to interpret it in this way. If you will say directly a person that you are super egoistic, he may felt very bad about that. So you have to interpret it that you do not want to listen to others, you want to portray your rules, you want to influence people. So we have to interpret it like this. But to be very true, these people are very egoistic, super egoistic, and they have their own fantasies in their mind, imaginary mind. They will always be in imagination. uh, like this will happen with this, now these billions of dollars will happen. And they always, most of the time, they live in imagination. Okay, they may be rich, they may not be rich, but they live in, say, certain imagination, in some other thing. But they are philosophical. Good part is they are very philosophical, they are poetic, they may be singer, they may be a good writer, they are religious, and they are superstitious too. They believe in superstitiousness too much. Now dominating middle zone, see this handwriting. It is not about the size of the letter. I have taken an example of the bigger size, but not always about the size of the letter, but most of the letter will fall in the middle. You can see the middle category. It is not going longer towards the down, longer toward the upside. So they are falling in the middle zone. If this is the characteristic feature, so the person is still egoistic, but not super egoistic as like the upper zone letter the upper zone letter characteristic feature. And here the most characteristic feature is the person is immature like a child. He behaves like a child. Behaves like a child doesn't mean that he always like a chocolate, but in his thinking, in his logical mind, in his expression, in his way of living, he may be very happy. He is egoistic, he may be very happy because he is immature like a child. Or he may commit mistake like a child for on silly things as well. And you may think he is such a literate person, educated person, and how he can do this, because still that childish mind is there in him. So it is the clear-cut depiction of the dominating middle zone handwriters. Then overly concerned person about his looks. This type of person, when I say overly concerned, maybe about looks and everything, he may see himself many times a day in front of mirror. He want to see his looks every time before meeting to anybody. You want to see whether he is looking good or not, what kind of dress he is wearing. So over attention on himself, over concerned about him and other thing. So it may be sometime good, it may be sometime bad as well. Now this over concern related to also the self-centeredness, gratification. Whatever he wants right now. He cannot wait. So he is quite impatient. So he want everything right now. So in this, if the person is like this, he can commit mistakes as well. He can take wrong decisions as well for instant gratification, because he is behaving like a child, immature child. So his thinking is like that, and he is stable, dominating lower zone. So I've given you two examples here, but there can be many more. Person is going to be obsessed with his own body, with his own mind, with his money, with his materialist aspect. And these are the people who usually are in the process of divorce. Please consider this as an important topic. People in the divorce, people in the fight among the couples, or who are much worried about their home life, but they are non-egoistic. The fight may be because of something else, because of their obsessiveness. Okay, the fight is not because of their egoistic nature. So please be aware of such people. Now, coming to the upper zone example. Now see these upper zone writing examples. If your L is too much into the upper zone, so you have big hopes and dreams for the future. It is a good thing. But apart from that, if we look at the upper zone handwriting nature, if I'll go back, see the super egoistic nature is still there. Imagination is still there. But the good thing is that you have good plans, good dreams for your future. If it is retraced, you may have had your hopes, you were having your hopes, but your dreams are being squelched. They are not being fulfilled. As like for T, okay, very sensitive to criticism, maybe paranoid. So paranoid, don't take the word paranoid as such, maybe. And if it is retraced, you may be a good worker, disciplined, self-control. Okay, and lower zone examples are these. So please learn them. Y says about your that who will be a good friend. You are very selective. And if it is quite broader, that you have large circle of friends. If it is quite long and shaded, then you love to travel. And if it is shorter and shaded, then you are quite a homebody. Now here is an exercise for you. You have to analyze the personality of this person on the basis of the slant, baseline, and zone. Okay, so I'm giving you 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You can see the slant, baseline, and handwriting zone of this person and tell me the characteristic features to get the handwriting analysis done. Now see these answers. Left slants, very good. The person is introvert, think about past life or past event, maybe unsocial. Why I'm writing here maybe unsocial? He like to live in self. He may be unsocial because we are not considering the family members in social category. Definitely he has to talk to his family members, but even within the family members, if you will ask with his family members, he like to live a lot of time alone. So this is straight baseline, very good. You all have identified correctly, straight baseline, and many times negative attitude, but see, straight baseline but slightly moving towards down, slightly down. So we'll use the terms seems to be many times negative attitude, but almost overall it is of the person is stable mind because he controls his emotions very well. And the person is having a middle zone handwriting, dominating middle zone handwriting, very good. He is egoistic nature, he or she, whosoever, immature like a child, stubborn and childish nature.